What are your rights if you're a beneficiary? First, I want to get into what is a beneficiary. So let's look at the statutes. So this is the Arizona Revised Statutes. Arizona Trust Code is known as all of this stuff. So the way that a beneficiary is defined, it's a person who either has a present or future beneficial interest in a trust, vested or contingent. Okay, interesting there. So future beneficial interest is still a beneficiary. And then another term I want to look at here is qualified beneficiary. It means a beneficiary who, on the date of the beneficiary's qualification, is determined as a distributee or permissible distributee of trust, income, or principal. Would be a distributee if the trust terminated on that date. So the future beneficiaries are also included as the qualified beneficiary. So if the trust were to terminate, who it would be paid out to, those are qualified beneficiaries. We get a lot of calls. People say, what are my rights? There's a trust, or I think there might be a trust, and I want to know, what are my rights? So what should they do? What we need to figure out first is, who is the trustee? Do we know that? Do we know if there is a trust, or what is controlling? So if there's no legal documents at all, it's what's called intestate. The intestacy determines beneficiaries and who has the priority to serve as a personal representative. So we got to figure out who's in charge. And then the first thing to do for beneficiaries is to request a copy of the trust and report. The other thing I have pulled up here, another part of the trust code, 14-10813, duty to inform and report. So this is the Arizona Trust Code. It's very similar in California, the duties that are required of a trustee or fiduciary, but I like to point specifically to this law. So whenever we represent a trustee that's administering a trust, one of the first things that we do is this, inform and report. We give all the beneficiaries notice. So we give them a copy of the trust necessary to determine their interest, and then within 60 days after accepting trusteeship. Okay, so what does it mean to accept trusteeship? So after someone passes away, the successor trustee, even though they're named in the document, they have to do something to accept that. We have our clients sign a document called an acceptance of trustee to have them formally accept that duty. So it's not necessarily 60 days after people pass away, after accepting the trusteeship. They shall notify the qualified beneficiaries of the acceptance and give them their name, address, and telephone number. So when we're representing the trustees, we give all the beneficiaries our contact information, because if they're reaching out to the trustee, we want them to call us, and since we're advising the trustee. So that's a big part of the service we provide. A lot of people don't want to deal with the beneficiaries and have that contact, and if you're named the trustee, the law requires you to do that. And then within 60 days after the death of the trustee, acquires knowledge of the creation of an irrevocable trust, or the date the trustee acquires knowledge that a formerly revocable trust has become irrevocable. Okay, so if a trust goes from revocable to irrevocable, then the trustee has to give notice. So an example of that, common one, is when someone passes away, the revocable trust turns irrevocable at that point. Or if the person that created the trust, the trustor, the settlor, the trust creator, if they resign as the trustee, then at that point the trust becomes irrevocable because there's no one that can change it. It needs to get a new tax ID number at that point to show that the trustee is managing it for the benefit of the trustor. While the trustor is serving as a trustee, it uses their social security number as a tax ID number. So if you're a beneficiary, what we like to do is, request that report. We point to that statute saying, here's what you should be doing as a trustee. Why haven't you done it? And then, we see what the response is, if we get a response.